Today we're going to be learning how to assemble and set up an Ariens 2-stage Deluxe Sno-Thro. Before we begin, we're going to need some tools for the job. We'll need a knife or box cutter, a hammer, a flat punch, a small flat blade screwdriver, a socket wrench, a 7/16, ½ and 9/16 deep well socket. Let's begin. Using your knife or box cutter, go around to the top of the box to remove the lid. Once you've carefully cut around all four sides of the box, remove the lid and set it aside. Next, carefully remove the rod and chute from the box. Set those aside and keep those together. We'll need those later. Then, remove and recycle the cardboard inserts. Once you've removed all the cardboard inserts, let's take our knife or box cutter and, starting at the bottom, slice each corner of the box. This will remove the sides so we can get access to the snowblower. As you're slicing the corners of the snowblower box, be very careful not to cut yourself. As you can see, as we've gone around the snowblower, we've laid down each side of the box. Now that we can get to all four sides of the snowblower, let's remove the packaging from the handle. Pull off the plastic, and then the little foam pads on the handlebars. Now that the packaging has been removed, let's take our wrench and ½ socket and remove the top bolts from each side of the handle. It may be possible to hand loosen this bolt, but if you're having trouble with it, switch to your ½ socket. Carefully and slowly lift the handle up, making sure that the linkage lock is inside the other bolt. As you can see here, Phil will put it in place and pull it out. Now this is what you don't want it to look like. You do not want that lock to be on the outside of the bolt. Bend the handle down carefully and place the lock behind the bolt, as shown. Now that the linkage is properly in place, we'll take the bolt, push it through the side of the handle, lock it in place, push the bushing, washer, lock washer, and nut, hand tightening it onto the bolt to start with. We'll do the same thing on the other side, pushing in the bolt, the plastic bushing, washer, lock washer, and then hand tighten the nut. Again, using our wrench and ½ socket, we'll carefully tighten down each nut under the bolt. Be careful not to over-tighten it because it can crack the plastic bushing. Carefully remove the plastic packaging holding the owner's manual onto the machine. Using our wrench and 7/16" socket, tighten the linkage down. Now that we've tightened the linkage, make sure it's secure. Using your knife or box cutter, slice the plastic off of the chute. Be careful not to scratch the paint. Carry the chute over to the machine and place it with the black rod being just to the left of the two bolts on the machine. To put on the chute, we're going to need our wrench and 9/16 socket. Toward the back of the chute are two bolts on the machine. You can remove them by hand or use the wrench. Once they've been removed, move the black rod across and place the bolts back through the rod and into the machine. Hand tightening to begin with, and then tighten it down with your wrench and 9/16 socket. Be careful again not to over-tighten these bolts, but make sure they're snug. From underneath the plastic on the front of the snowblower, remove the cable. Place the end of the cable into the hook on the top of the chute. Twist the cable around. Slide the boot up the cable. Lock the plastic piece of the cable into the loop on the chute and slide the boot back down. Using a small flat blade screwdriver, remove the lock pin from the chute control. Make sure you set this aside and don't lose it. This will be important to control the chute later. Now take the chute control rod and using the smaller end, place it into the handle of the snowblower. On the other end, there is a small pin that will go through the chute control. Slide it into the hole and make sure that it makes it all the way through the plastic support loop on the other side of the handle. On the other end of the chute control rod is a hole that goes all the way through the rod. Match it up with the chute control fitting. You might have to wiggle this back and forth to get it into place. Once you've matched up the holes, push the lock pin in. It is very difficult to push this pin in by hand. This is what you'll need the hammer and punch for. Very carefully place the punch over the pin and tap it down with the hammer until it's in place. To ensure everything's working properly, move the chute back and forth. Standing behind the snowblower, we're going to test the up and down motion of the chute control. Next, remove the plastic wrapping off the front of the snowblower. Now let's check the oil. Unscrew the dipstick from the side of the engine and check to see how much oil is in the engine. Add the proper amount of oil to the engine and check again. Make sure you check your owner's manual for the proper weight and amount of oil to put in your engine. Never put too much oil into your engine, as this could cause permanent damage. As you can see here, we've filled the oil, checked it again, and we're good. Now that we've checked the oil, let's add fuel. Check your owner's manual for proper fuel specifications for your area. We recommend using 89 octane fuel. When you're finished fueling, make sure you don't drip anywhere, and if you do spill, clean it up with a rag. Screw on the fuel cap, making sure that it locks into place. On the back of the machine is the key. Using your knife or box cutter, cut the plastic tie wrap and insert the key into the engine. Proper starting. Turn on the ignition, set the choke, prime, make sure you're at full throttle, and start the machine. Once the machine is started, let's test the auger. Next, test the drive. Once you've tested the machine, bring the throttle down all the way and turn off the ignition. Now let's test the electric start. Plug in your Ariens power cord or extension cord, turn on the ignition, set the choke, prime, set the throttle to full, and press the electric start button. Once the engine is warm, open the choke. To turn off the engine again, lower the throttle and turn off the ignition. It's a good idea to write down your model and serial number, found on the back of the machine. The model type and code is also found on the side of the engine. Write this information in your Briggs & Stratton owner's manual. You'll also want to record the date of purchase of the machine. You will also want to record your Ariens model and serial number in the Ariens manual provided. It is also a good idea to record the engine, model type, and code in the same manual. Don't forget to register your machine, mail in your warranty card, or go online to register today.